back in the old days, what you used to do, you used to go into a bank and you say, okay, I want $1,000 in traveller's checks, $1,000 American. And you take these traveller's checks and they have your signature on them. And the trick was that you had to be able to prove that you're the person holding the check, the passport. Your passport's got your signature on it, okay? And then what you'd do is you'd show your passport, the photo ID would be there, then you would sign the traveller's checks in front of the person, and they would take that traveller's check as money. Now the great thing about traveller's checks is if they were stolen, you could replace them. Unlike cash, if you had cash stolen, and I had some cash stolen, and I'm not going to get it back, right? The insurance will pay a little bit, but I'm going to lose about $1,500. So traveller's checks, in a way, are better than money, because if you lost them or you had them stolen, if you took a record of the numbers, you would take a record of the numbers. Supposedly people can't cash them because they can't show your ID with your name, your photo and your signature, and even but faking it is possible to, if you practice, you can fake someone's signature, but it's difficult. But anyway, people don't use traveller's checks now. I used some about 10 years ago. I just had some as a backup, and I went to cash them in Israel, and they were American Express traveller's checks. Now the Americans and the Israelis are supposed to like each other, and they just made up a whole lot of excuses. They weren't going to cash them, and I was getting pretty peeved off, and they kept me waiting for about 2.5 hours, thinking I was just going to go and walk away, but I didn't. I said, no, stuff it. I said, we're going to ring up America right now. Right? So on the traveller's check, if you have any problem, ring this number in America. So we did. We were talking to the United States. And the bank didn't like that. And I said, well, I'm speaking to you from this bank in Israel, and the name of the bank is this, and they've got your American Express sign on the window, but they're not accepting your product. Oh, they said, blah, blah, blah. So that was quite illuminating. But people don't use traveller's checks now, and if you read the travel guide, they'll tell you not to do it, not to take them. So, yeah, the best way to have money is these ATM cards. When you put the ATM card in, and it gives you the money. There's only two things wrong with that. Number one, you don't know what exchange rate they're giving you. Right? So you don't know when the bank machine spits out all the Sudanese pounds or Kenyan shillings or Ethiopian whatevers. You don't know how many you're getting. That's number one. And number two, what's number two? I know what you're doing. What's number two? Okay. Well, it's amazing. I was in South Africa. I was talking to this young bloke, and he was having trouble with these money machines. He couldn't get his card to work, and he got conned into giving his money machine card to a native person, an African person, and they went along. And as I said, you might think you're just there by yourself, but believe me, if you're white, all the black people, they're all watching you. It may not seem like they're watching you, but they're watching you, right? And that's how you can get robbed and things like that, because if you put your gear in the back of a bus, someone comes along, bang, slashes it open and takes your stuff out, right? You may not think that you're special at all, but because you look different, they can spot you 100 meters away, and they think, white, tourist, old man, money. Right? And That's why it's so dangerous sometimes. Anyway, what this guy did, he gave his ATM card, his money card, to this African guy. Do you know what came up on the screen?
What?
The PIN number. They had got this machine, and the tricksters, the deceitful people, the burglars, the robbers, the con men, you call them whatever you like, somehow they had doctored this machine that when you put the card in, the PIN number of the card came up on the screen. And people say, use your ATM machine, it's safe. Really? That's not what they tell you in Africa. They tell you in Africa, if you're going to use one of these ATM machines, you use them in the capital cities. Don't use them in the country town because the machine might be doctored. Then the machine doesn't work. Well, it does work, but the people inside the bank make sure it doesn't work. And then when you ask them to help, they con you and they take your money. Yeah. Lots of things happen like that. Lots of cons, scams, dishonest things, fake money, all those sorts of things. Makes life exciting. So that's what's tiring, because you're always thinking all the time, who's watching and whatever. You're always watching your back all the time, because you're always a target. If you're one person, you're a target.
What about 3 people?
Sorry?
What about 3 people?
What people?
What about if there are 3 people?
3 people. Don't know. I've never been in that situation.
2?
Well, yeah, you'd certainly be different. Not many. Well, I certainly didn't. I certainly never saw a Korean guy in his mid-40s with 2 teenage kids travelling around the place. Never. Nothing like it. So you're going to be in an extremely different situation. Yeah. In a way, having 3 people is better, because you can get people to look after your gear while you're doing something else. You can. Yeah, whereas with one person, you've got to keep your eye on your stuff all the time, which is sometimes inconvenient. Yeah, so I can't comment on 3 people, but most people travel in pairs. It's cheaper. You get a hotel room. A lot of the hotel rooms I stayed in had 2 beds, some of them had 3. Right? So I paid, let's say I paid $24 for quite a good room in Africa. That'd be quite a big room, be quite a good room in Africa. For 24 New Zealand dollars, that wouldn't be too bad, right? Have 3 beds in them. We're seeing how much you're paying per person. $8. How much was I paying? 24. So when you travel in 3s, your accommodation is a lot cheaper, heaps cheaper. That's about it, Obviously, it costs more to feed 3 people than it does to cost one, feed one person. But most people I met were travelling in 2s. But I prefer to travel by myself, because then you can't have an argument with anyone. You either decide, okay, so are you going to stay in town B 2 nights or 3? Now, one person might like town A and the other person mightn't like it at all. Who's going to win? Right? I was in Vietnam one time, and there were 2 people, a man and a woman, that were travelling around, and they had a really interesting system. What would be a good system if you had 2 people? 2 people travelling together, boyfriend, girlfriend, man, wife, whatever. And you're travelling around the world together. staying in the same places, doing things together. How would you avoid arguments? Yeah, that's a good question for you. Have a guess. Well, you can't say the man decides everything every time, and you can't say the woman decides everything every time. What could you do? No? I'll tell you what these people did. They said, rightio, Monday's a new week. Your turn. You make every decision this week. The man did it. Where they went, what hotel they chose, what restaurant they went to, what tours they did, everything. Man decided everything. Next week, the woman did it. Yeah. She decided everything. The woman decided which hotel they're going to, which bus they're going to take, which restaurant they're going to see, which museum they're going to. Are they going to go to a movie? And I thought that was a smart way of doing it. I thought that was a really smart way of doing it. Right? So they didn't have sort of one day on, one day off, which wouldn't really work. They sort of went. You can't go a month at a time because that's probably a little bit much. So they just went a week at a time. And they said, right, yeah, this is your week. You look at, you do it. You know, right? So one person might like, women might like shopping. Okay. So they go shopping one, and then the man might like sport. So they might go and see some sport. And then the next week the woman might like museums. So they go to museums. And then the next week the man might like to... Well, I love markets. I love wandering around markets. I can wander around markets all day. I find them quite fascinating. Right? But some people don't. I'll give you... There you are. That's what I find. I've seen that. You're not looking. That's a market.
Yeah.
Right? That's a South American market. Right? Now I find those things absolutely fascinating. But some people find them boring. Right? Don't know. But that's in that would be in Peru or Bolivia, because I can tell they're all wearing hats. That's probably in Bolivia. Let's see if it tells you where it is. Below. Preceding page, Zumbagiu. I don't know where Zumbagiu is, but it's in the Bolivia chapter, so I would imagine it's somewhere in Bolivia. Now that place is fascinating. That's called Potosi. Been there. That mountain there has just got so many minerals in it. It's just not even funny. And that mountain kept Spain rich for about 2 centuries. This mountain here, and I've climbed to the top of that mountain. Right? It's this place here called Potosi used to be the richest town in the world. You go inside the churches and they're lined with gold. Real gold. And it's all from this mountain. It's called Coro Rico. What do you think Rico means? R-I-C? Rich, absolutely. Okay. Puerto Rico. Porto is door. Rico is rich. Puerto Rico was the door to riches. That's exactly what it was. The Spanish weren't there. That's what they. So when they landed in that part of the world, they found it very rich, and so they called it Puerto Rico, the door to riches. And it did. It kept Spain. It made Spain the richest country in the world for about 200 years. And that mountain there is where they got all their gold from. And you can actually go inside that. I've been inside that mountain. You can actually go and look for the mines, but it's all it's worn out now. But there's still people that try and make a living from that mountain. But it's a very sad place to go to. Very Because the poor people working in there live in extremely dangerous conditions, and they work extremely hard, and they get very little money, and they're in constant pain because of the hard work. And in the market in that town you can buy a drink and it's 90% alcohol. Beer is 5% alcohol. This liquid is 90%. And they drink it to kill the pain. Because that particular town is at about 4,100 metres, which is way higher than Mount Cook. And when you walk around that town, because the air is thin, right? And you can't, well, you're younger, you might be able to, but I certainly couldn't run up and down the street. I'd be starved, I'd be dead. Right? Younger people could probably hack it, but it's hard work. And so I went inside that mine and that mountain and had a look at them. But these poor guys are hammering away. Wow, really sad. Yeah, really sad. Yeah. Anyway, are we on TV, are we? Or were we? Don't know. Well, might have run out now. I don't know. Anyway, you better do some work. And it looks like dinner time for me. So I don't know what we've got there.